Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritlin with a retro review of Final Destination and Final Destination 2 and number 3 and The Final Destination, which was only number 4 because Final Destination 5 was the very last one. Whoever decided to title these didn't really think things through. And I originally was only going to review the first Final Destination, but because it was around the 20-year anniversary, but I figured, you know what? Hell, I'm always up for a challenge. Let's review all 5 movies, Human Centipede them together in one review and just talk about what became torture porn the series. Not like Hostel, thank God, not like the Saw movies, because after the first two, and even by the second one, it was starting to get ridiculous. That was definitely torture porn the series. Not like the Human Centipede movies, thank God. I've only watched those once. I will never watch them again, despite the jokes I make. But like any multi-movie reviews I do, these are going to contain spoilers. Also, a lot of these movies have been out for quite a while. I mean, fuck, even the most recent one came out in 2011, so I'm sorry if you guys haven't gotten a chance, but let me just tell you right now, the first one was the best, the second one started to fray a little bit, the third one started to dip, the fourth was the worst, and the fifth tried to do something, but also just went back in on itself, and I called bullshit at the end, and I, honest to God, started to really hate the fifth one, even though it wasn't as bad as number 4. So, let's start off with the best one at the beginning. A very good place to start. We go with Final Destination, out in 2000. James Wong, not James Wan, who directed The Conjuring, but the guy who directed The One, Final Destination 3, and Dragon Ball Evolution, which pretty much finished off his film career, because if you've seen Dragon Ball Evolution, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm not even a big Dragon Ball fan. I'm a pseudo fan, but I love Dragon Ball Z Abridged and the fact that it has fun with it. But boy, Dragon Ball Evolution was shit. And it's from New Line Cinema. And New Line Cinema, remember when New Line Cinema created really exciting shit? And it's like, I would always get excited when they made, when, you know, it's like, oh, it's from New Line Cinema. They seem to be the cool, edgy studio producing some good stuff. They also produced Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That was edgy in the sense that we were all on the edge of like the edge of something, and we were about to break, and we were honestly about to break some bones for what they did to Mortal Kombat. But anyway, this one, Devon Sawa plays Alex, and he's going on a school trip. They're going to France. There are some other students with him. Ali Larder playing Clear Rivers. Ali Larder, who, by the way, looks as good now as she did back then. I think she's absolutely beautiful, quite frankly. But anyway, so Alex has these visions. Devon Sawa, by the way, was on a different level in this. This might have, I don't think this is the peak of his career, but this is probably the role besides Casper that he's the most famous for. And they're going on a trip to France. Okay, he has vision suddenly. This plane, bursts into flames. It's like the engine catches fire and this, it explodes. And oh God, what's going on? And then, oh, it's all in his head. And he suddenly is panicking, telling people the plane's going to explode. So he gets kicked off the plane. A few other students go there, including Sean William Scott and Keira Smith. And, I forgot all about Keira Smith. And Sean William Scott, I forgot that he was in this as well. Now, the thing about this movie is it does the best with the concept because it lays the groundwork. And then I would argue that maybe the second one has the most fun with it. But this one was much more horror-centric, less comedic, even though some of the deaths were pretty comical. You have the typical memorial scene after all this where you have the guy with the vision and, he's being like kind of, treated like an outsider. Understandable considering he survived, nobody else did, and he saw it and nobody can explain it. They think he's responsible, but they're not sure. So Clear at first doesn't believe him and then does believe him. And I wonder what Ali Larder's doing right now, by the way, because she seemed to just drop off the face of the earth as far as acting. So death is coming for them, and as according to Bloodworth, played by Tony Todd, who was in this, the second one, a voiceover in the third one. If he was in the fourth one, I pretty much just tuned him out. The fourth one was absolute shit. And in the fifth one, he was there, and boy, that raised a whole bunch of different questions by the time we got to the fifth one, but we get the typical deaths. We get Alex's best friend gets, he slips on some stuff and gets strangled in the in the shower or whatever, and which was kind of, I guess it was kind of, see, I laugh at horror movies, so I found this kind of funny, but also I'm kind of desensitized to this kind of stuff. So he gets strangled, and then I did love the bus one though, where the blonde girl, she's like, saying to her boyfriend, played by Keira Smith, Carter, says, if you just want to fight with Alex or whatever, you can just drop dead steps, boom, does that. That's one of my favorite deaths in the entire thing. I could have ranked all the deaths, of like the characters from worst to best, but I'll just talk about my favorite ones here. And then they talk to Bloodworth, and he says, "In death there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, no mistakes, and no escapes." And okay, there we go. Cool. All right, you can't escape death. Great job. I mean, he's Candyman. What the fuck you expect? They snuck in because Alex wanted to see how his friend died. Like, why in the world did Todd do what he did? And they apologize for breaking in because he's the pallbearer, not holding up an urn or whatever, and not crowning the Undertaker with it. That's for all the wrestling fans that are watching this. He says, "No harm, no foul. I'll see you soon." The gift that keeps on gifting. The bus accident one was great, by the way. The teacher gets killed because there's a fire that breaks out, and water gets into her old computer monitor. And I'm talking like the old school one where you could hurt somebody with it. It was almost like having a mini TV with you, like a mini TV where you turn the dial on and everything, because that back in 2000, that's the kind of shit we had. I remember that stuff in school, and it sucked to use it. So she has a piece of glass that gets in her neck, and she's like, "This whole house is on fire." Alex is trying to save her, and then this knife falls into her chest. He tries to save her. Chair falls, hits her. It's really funny. Sean William Scott gets decapitated when a piece of metal below a train just cuts him. And then we go to the end where he's trying to, protect himself, and he later has to save Claire, who has a bunch of metal stuff, that she's been working on as a welder of some sort. And he saves her with, from an live electrical wire, and that there's almost a fire that almost takes her car. Saves her, thinking, okay, he'll pass on. He'll pass on, and that'll break Death's cycle because Death has a design. Oh wait, and then they somehow survive, and it's him, Claire, and Carter. They're in France, and they go to they're just in Paris and everything. They're having fun, and oh no, Death is still coming after them. And then Carter gets killed when this theater sign falls, and that ends that. So that's pretty much the end of that. End credits. And then we move on to number 2. Final Destination 1 was the best one. Now, the best opening, though, is number 2. This is where the series peaked. And that's unfortunate because I really wish that Final Destination 2 was better than I remembered it. Now, it was decent and had its moments, but despite the fact that the longest one, I believe, is number 1, it was like 97 minutes, this one was only 7 minutes shorter, yet it felt like it had no character development. They were just plot devices by that point to just get killed. There was nothing to them, even to the main character, played by AJ Cook. Who Kimberly, who was played by AJ Cook, who's in Criminal Minds and is an absolutely stunning woman and very good actress. And this one was directed by David R. Ellis, and it wasn't the only time he'd be part of this one. He directed The Final Destination. He directed Cellular. Oh, sweet Christ. Cellular sucked. So the opening credits. It's this news report thing talking about the events of the first movie, Death's design, stuff like that. You can't escape death. You got to be on your toes at all time. Otherwise, death is going to get you. They mentioned Flight 180. And then Kimberly is seeing stuff as far as 180 feet and, for construction when she's just about to get onto this on-ramp and, go with her friends. A blonde girl and two guys. One guy's smoking a lot of weed. And we get to see the whole freeway scene play out, which I gotta say is, again, one of the finest sequences that I've seen in at least modern horror, at least in the last 20 years. This is fucking brilliant, from the motorcycle guy getting crushed, to the hot rod guy getting, burned alive in his car, to another guy getting absolutely wrecked, the logging truck, the log, dislodging, if you will, and decapitating the cop. Just a whole lot of really, really good shit. Just everybody dying, all this. And then she has she had the vision, and she has to try and stop everybody from crashing. And she's telling the cop to stop her, that pulled her over. Hey, there's going to be a bad accident. There's this logging truck. Look, that's the truck. You got to stop him. Like he's going to go out there in 70-mile-an-hour traffic and stop it. But then all of a sudden, boom, 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 everybody dies. And except for the people that she saved that were supposed to die. And then it starts picking them off, and in accordance. Here's the problem. Then they were just plot devices. After that, they blew their load so early that that was it. There was a guy that won the lottery and then was killed after a kitchen fire. He got his arm trapped in the garbage disposal. That didn't kill him, but he dumped some spaghetti out of his out of his window earlier, which comes into play. He gets down one of those big ladders that goes down kind of like one of those like service ladders up the stairs and everything the back way, and he manages to get away where, he slips on the spaghetti and the ladder falls, almost hits him, and he's like, oh man, I'm so lucky, and then it pops him. Actually, there was one other good death. Kimberly goes to talk to Clear, and Clear eventually decides to come and help. There's a dentist scene where, Kimberly's seeing all this stuff and she sees all these pigeons. These pigeons keep flying into the goddamn windows because pigeons are nature's lobotomized bird. Pigeons are adorable. They are diseased and they are also really fucking stupid. Let me just say that much. I've had pigeons just wander around me and everything, and any animal besides maybe my cat that wants to wander around me is pretty fucking stupid. Wait a second. What does that say about me? I don't know what the fuck I'm saying anymore. This is where things start to go off the rail, though. Like, this scene's pretty cool because he gets saved from, like, choking on this toy because he's, like, going to get, some dentistry done. He's got the gas on, so he's knocked out. He gets saved, and then he chases some pigeons, and this one guy's operating a crane, and the pigeons scare the guy, and he hits the switch, and then, excuse me, the glass drops and just, crushes the kid. And then that was it. That was actually pretty much it, because then all the other deaths were pretty goddamn shit. Bloodworth returns, says, Clear, it's so good to see you, and talks about, new life can break death's design. What the hell? Oh no, maybe, this woman that was pregnant that was supposed to die in the accident, maybe, if she gives birth, then there we go. You gotta follow the signs. There's an elevator decapitation of the woman who just lost her kid to that accident outside the dentist office. There's a there's a sharing scene where they share all their experiences, talking about how they're all tied back to all this stuff that happened either with Flight 180. They took the place of other people that were like, that had their lives ended either on the flight or after the flight. And it really felt forced. This is where the wheels just came off of the goddamn movie. And that's a goddamn shame. Because again, I like these movies, but boy, that was shoehorned in there. That was forced in there. And I know about forcing jokes in there, but pretty damn ridiculous. We get an airbag deployed at one point when this woman gets trapped in her car, and then the airbag gets deployed and she gets a pipe right through the back of the head. That was awesome. And then there's this fire, and this fence gets, knocked out. Like, this fence post goes flying with this barbed wire, and it cuts this guy in half. That was actually pretty awesome also. And okay, wait a second, he pushed a guy out of the way. That comes back to play a little bit later. The baby gets born. Kimberly thinks, wait a second, I need to kill myself because I've been having all these visions. And then she gets brought back to life, and everything's good. Except they go to the house where all those accidents happen because they're apparently friends with these people. The son who was rescued goes to check on the barbecue, blows up, and his arm ends up on the table, and the mother is freaking out. This movie didn't know whether it wanted to be a comedy or not. To be honest, I laughed more than I should have. However, the third one probably contains my favorite death, and the third one came out in 2006. Now, I want to say this. This is where things started to hit a low point. It wasn't at the lowest point, don't worry, but we get James Wong returning, and Wendy, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, the only actress in this movie that I even recognize from anything big. She sees a roller coaster crash happen before it occurs, and wasn't able to save her boyfriend and one of her friends, but she's able to save the friend of the boyfriend, and they kind of hook up, and then she has a sister that kind of looks like her and everything, and there's a lot of bullshit in this. Here's one good thing, though. There is the tanning bed scene. The tanning bed death where this blonde and this brunette get fried in these tanning beds, and I'm a bit of a sadist when it comes to this stuff. Look, I want to say this. This movie is pretty rotten if you take a look at it. It's pretty goddamn rotten. It's like 2 minutes longer than the second one, yet it has even somehow less character development. This tries to play more with the design where it's like, oh, she can see this stuff and see all these hints of who's going to kill her or who's involved in this. Oh, it's all these hints. Death is getting more elaborate with his stuff or with its stuff. But the tanning bed scene, I just got to say, was probably my favorite one. It just was. And I don't know why. I don't know why I laughed at that. I do remember cracking one joke, though, when I was with friends of mine in the theater where, well, actually, we were watching this on DVD later, but the priest said, "Those of you who want to pay your respect," I said, "might not want to look in the casket," and like every single person in the room laughed. I think it was like about 10 people. We were having a fun party there without drinking because I don't drink. So anyway, yeah, this was pretty damn stupid. You get the typical reflection scene. We get the drive-through death scene where this truck is a runaway. They can't get away because they're trapped by this other truck. And there's this stupid pervy guy that they get out of the truck just at the time where they kick out the windshield, or the guy kicks out the windshield. They get out of the way, and then the engine dislodges from the truck and cuts the back of the guy's head. That was actually pretty good. But then, boy, we get a long drawn forklift sequence where this forklift seemingly comes to life. All these chemicals, all these household supplies, nails, screws, these saws, these stakes, all this stuff. And this one girl, pretty cute gothic girl, ends up getting a nail gun fired in the back of her head and catches in her hands and stuff like that. So she's dead. And then the gothic guy that looks like he should have been a discount member of Good Charlotte, and if you've seen Good Charlotte, you know what I'm talking about. Well, he kind of goes nuts, and then he gets crushed by a high-rise that falls down, or cherry picker, so to speak. Everybody's good. Everybody is good. Oh, wait, there's a subway and end of the line, and everybody dies because the vision comes too late, and they're on there, and then they die and everything, and that's it. And it was a pretty good ending sequence. But that's pretty much where the movies end to be really good. But folks, I will be right back after this short break. And yes, guys, I'm back. In case you're wondering, yes, I had to let the producer in. Sir, say hi. Say hi to the camera. Brilliant. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much the end of the positives for the Final Destination movies. Wow, I actually made it in the trash. Unbelievable. So yeah, you chime in on what you love best about those. Hey, what do you love best? Okay. You loved Ali Lara the best. You have good taste, my friend. All right. By the way, adopt, don't shop. So, unfortunately, that's pretty much where the positives for the Final Destination movies end. This is not going to take long with the Final Destination. David R. Ellis returns because he directed the second film. I think he phoned this one in, or the studio told him to phone this one in. It's the first of the series that was in 3D. And boy, was it bad 3D. My God. A racetrack accident and structural collapse. There was pretty good, or some decent deaths in this, but the 3D, the over-reliance on 3D was just absolutely fucking bullshit. It was just really fun. I'm just seeing what the fuck he's doing, if he's going to chime in at all. So, the main character, Nick, he has this ability to see things and see people's deaths before it happens. He sees all these visions of, he sees 3D pictures. He's a 3D magic eye picture machine, and he sees this stuff, and yep, so death comes to collect and everything. And the opening credits happen 10 minutes in, where they're showing, previous deaths from the other ones. Memorial scene, and some see Nick as a hero because he said, oh, there's a redneck guy that blamed the black security guard for not letting him go back in to save his wife who was killed. Oh, and then before the opening credits happened, this one woman got killed by a tire. That was pretty cool. But the bad 3D bullshit really killed it for me. And also the fact that, let me just say this. This was 81 minutes with credits. 81 goddamn minutes. I know. He can't believe it either. He's even baffled by it. So, we get... The redneck guy tries, he's drunk with this old school, look like the creeper van from Jeepers Creepers. And he tries to put a burning cross on a black guy's lawn because, why wouldn't you fucking do that, you goddamn idiot? Don't fucking do that. Don't be racist, you goddamn morons. I'm not even talking to him. He's a character. I'm talking to anybody else that's racist that happens to be watching. Stop fucking being racist. Be like me. Hate everybody. Actually, in all seriousness, I used to be racist. Don't be racist anymore. Anyway, see, if I was racist, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be around to have this cat. You just want food. I'm going to have to wrap this up, folks. So, the racist guy gets dragged, by the way. Yes, he gets dragged, yas. So he gets, I'm so sorry for that. I'm going to get freaking killed for that. He gets dragged and set on fire because of fuel leaking on the ground, and he gets set on fire and dragged through the neighborhood. That was kind of funny. and then a rock gets hurled through a woman's eye. She was a woman that had stuffed tampons in her son's ears when the racetrack was too loud. I'm not kidding. And it can see into the future. He has to stop you from killing his race in the future. Derb, if you're watching this, that was for you 20 minutes in. So they go back to the racetrack. They figure all this stuff out. We get an auto shop scene where a guy gets, pushed by a propane tank forcibly through a fence, and his body just does that more bad 3D bullshit. The car wash scene that goes on forever because they have to save the woman who has her head trapped in her sunroof and stuff like that. Somehow doesn't drown. They save her. And then this guy gets trapped in this pool drain where he just forcibly gets the life sucked out of him, literally. His blood just like splatters all over the place. That's how physics works. And a black guy tries killing himself because he lost his wife and his child in a drunk driving accident that he was responsible for. And then there's a flooded hospital a little bit later. And there's the black guy gets killed. George, I believe is his name. The characters' names are not worth remembering, by the way. He gets killed by an ambulance. There's a movie theater, an escalator scene. The escalator scene actually wasn't all that bad. That was actually pretty cool. But then that all gets reversed. And then they're just in this shop, or in this little coffee shop. Nick, his girlfriend, is pretty cute, by the way, and her friend. And then suddenly Death's design comes for them and sends a semi weaving right into the coffee shop and kills them, and we get more bad 3D stuff, and this is the worst one of them. Unfortunately, Final Destination 5 isn't a ton better. It's a little more streamlined, and there's a little more build-up to it. The problem is, I think I actually hate this one more than Final Destination, or The Final Destination, because, and I always call it Final Destination 4 because that's what it is. Maybe it was intended to be the last of the series. Because, boy, this felt very tacked on. It was directed by Stephen Quayle, who directed Into the Storm. Yeah, it's directed by the guy that did Into the Storm, so automatically I know I'm going to hate it. I was harsher on this movie than I expected, and that's probably because, even though it was in 3D and even though they tried, they did some good build-up with the main character, Sam, and his friends and stuff like that, and a team-building exercise where the workforce goes to, goes on exercise or on a bridge that's having construction done, a bridge, of course, above a bunch of water, above the goddamn ocean, or above a river, or above some body of water, and some body of water, I don't know. I need somebody to water, no. Anyway, enough butchering of classic songs. The bridge starts to collapse. He has this vision where all this stuff happens, and basically everybody dies except he's able to save his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, because she had broken up with him just before. Because basically it turns out that he wants to go take an internship to be a chef in Paris. Wonder how Paris is going to tie into this. And Paris is too big to get in shaft through the head during House of Wax. House of Wax. Again, Derb, if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. A little inside joke there. So, we get impalings, car falling, we get, people dying in certain orders, and they start dying in that order when they come, when, all this calms down. So, Sam is kind of hailed a hero, and that's pretty much where he's seen as weird, but he's also hailed a hero because he saved people. They don't understand how he saved people. Courtney B. Vance is also in this, playing a detective, because of course he fucking is. There were a few cute girls in this. Emma Bell, Ellen Rowe, I hope I pronounced that right, and Jacqueline McInnes Wood. I'm just going to call them by their characters. Olivia, Molly, and Candace. Candace was kind of the meek intern girl that was a gymnast. Molly was the girl that was doing a whole bunch of stuff. That was doing a whole bunch of stuff like breaking up with the guy and everything, and excused because the cat is going to try to be the center of attention here. And Olivia was a girl with glasses and wanted to get LASIK surgery. This is the one with the famous LASIK one and stuff like that. And also, got to go back to the third one for a second. There was this cool weightlifting death scene where this guy got squished by some weights. That was pretty goddamn awesome. So, with this one, Sam wants to go to France. Him and Molly end up kind of getting back together because death kind of brings you together. We get Tony Todd doing his stuff. His typical stuff because he is the chief medical examiner. And they never say what year this is in. That's the thing. You kind of get the idea what year it's in, and it's very vague about that, but it's also kind of not vague because he does say later, I've seen stuff like this before, and if you have somebody's death replace you, or if you to have somebody, killed to take your place in death, you can have their life. That's not how that works, but whatever. So we get a gymnastics scene where there's all this red hair and stuff with a nail or a screw from the fan way above. There's powder that flies all over the goddamn place, and there's a cat, and there's the producer being all noisy. And this girl eventually, gets powder blown in her face as she's trying to do the bars, and then flips, and then cracks, and just breaks all into pieces and stuff like that. Gymnasts are supposed to be flexible, not that flexible. That sends her boyfriend, who's also kind of her boss, Peter, into a bit of a tizzy, and he kind of goes full on psycho. That's the thing about this movie, is it's less about death and more about people just going absolutely insane with grief, I think. At least I think that's the point. I'm not entirely certain. So, the rest of the movie kind of just limps along. We get, an acupuncture botch where a guy ends up getting crushed by, a statue after he gets, all the needles pushed into him, and this fire stops because, he's able to stop this fire, or this fire dissipates, but then the statue falls right on him because he's so weak. And so we get, early LASIK. That was kind of lame because the girl was blinded, and then she slips on something and falls out the window and falls to her death. The movie was kind of lazy, and what really bothers me is we get to this whole thing where you got Peter, you got Sam, and you got Molly. And Peter goes nuts, and he's trying to kill Molly, and then he's trying to kill Sam. He'll take their lives and everything, this kind of stuff. He's insane with grief. Well, then what ends up happening is they have this fight in this restaurant. So Peter dies. Okay, cool. This other guy had accidentally killed this one person at his job when he accidentally pushed him off, and he landed on one of those big old hooks that carries equipment. So, okay, this is all factoring in. Well, wait a second. Peter's dead, so Sam took this job, and he's going with Molly, and they're going to Paris. And then they get on the plane, and it's Flight 180, and they're tying it into the first one, and that's where that bullshit basically, just where I said, fuck this movie. Because it's so freaking lazy doing this stuff. So freaking lazy. Like, it really is. Like, if you have not seen this one, sorry, I spoiled it for you guys. But I get it. They're trying to tie it in where it's like everything has a beginning, everything has an end. But it's like, it didn't fucking work for me. It didn't fucking work at all. And I can understand what they were trying to say, but it ultimately doesn't work. All this stuff just does not work at all. Watching this movie, it doesn't end up making sense. Like, how in the world, we're supposed to believe that all this stuff is tied together, but then Tony Todd had said that he had seen this stuff before. So are we going to get prequels for stuff that's set up to the events of number 5? Are we going to get that stuff? We haven't had another Final Destination movie in 9 goddamn years. But I just ultimately that's what condemned number 5 to me. That's where, like, by number 3, besides the tanning bed scene, and which was awesome, and the guy that got crushed by the weights, it felt lazy and it felt very torture porn like. Number 4 easily was the laziest one. Number 5, though, just did that freaking bullshit at the end, and I just couldn't believe it. And what bothered me so damn much about it was it could have been good. If they had found a way to tie it in together better, and not like, suddenly everything's all tied together. Look, these people are on the same plane. See, it's all part of a universe. That's not how shit works. That's not how you make compelling movies. That's not how you make a compelling series of movies. So that's all I gotta say about that. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Final Destination, great. Final Destination 2, good. Final Destination 3, decent. 4, it was especially bad. 5, that ending just killed it. And, I mean, I understand, but again, I didn't really care for it. So anyway, agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.